Hello everybody, welcome back to Just Lights. In today's video, I'm going to be working on this school bus stop sign here. Now I picked this thing up from the Webster swap meet probably about 14 years ago. And other than bringing it home and just doing a quick check to make sure that the light sockets worked and the bulbs are working and the mechanism that opens and closes it was working fine and stuff like that, I haven't really done much else to it. But I want to go ahead and kind of get it mounted on the wall and get it doing its thing and stuff like that. So I brought it off the shelf to start messing with it. But I do got to build a little spacer for it so I can make it sit flat, and I'll explain all that in just a minute. But for today's video, I got to build a little spacer for it, get it all cleaned up, hook a flasher to it, and things like that. So let's go ahead and get started on it.
All right, so what we're working on today is a special manufacturing company school bus stop sign. Now, what I'm having to do here is build a small platform, and the reason why is because this is a vacuum-driven stop sign. Now, what that means is it required the vacuum of the engine in order to open and close the sign, and because of that reason, it has a fitting on the back side that doesn't allow it to sit flat against any surfaces unless there's either a hole or a spacer. I'll show that in better detail in just a second. Based on my research online, the specialty manufacturing company was designing these vacuum-driven stop signs from the 1970s all the way into the 1990s.
Okay, so with that board on the back, let me kind of show you why I had to do what I had to do. So you see where the vacuum hose, the way it sticks off the back there, I needed some way of making it to where the thing can sit flat against the wall. And I probably could have got away with just the plywood only, because this is actually almost completely below it. But I still wanted to have a way to run my wires inside here, mount my flasher, bring my wires up to the bottom for my power and all that kind of stuff. So I just figured I'll just do this right here. It's just a piece of 3/8 ply with another piece of like 1x wrapped around it. I only built it out an 1/8 inch, not going to be a big deal and all that. So the next step is I got to get the flasher wired up, run my wires out the bottom for my 12-volt in and all that kind of stuff.
All right, now that I got that base made, I did some test fitting, made sure everything's going to fit like I wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and take everything back apart, do a little bit of disassembly here, do some sanding, some priming, and some painting to make the thing look much nicer. All right, so while I was doing my research, there were obviously a lot more companies that were manufacturing these kind of stop signs, and a lot of these vacuum-driven stop signs dated back all the way to the 1940s. The main reason that the vacuum-driven sign was originally introduced was mainly because back in the 1940s and 50s, a lot of the larger trucks, buses, stuff like that, weren't equipped with air brakes. And in order to get the sign to move like they needed to, they found an ingenious way to use a vacuum bladder that used the vacuum of the engine to cause it to open and close. That was pretty much a staple all the way to about the 1950s, 60s when they started introducing air brakes and started using an air-powered version. Then around the 1970s, they started using electric version ones that kind of replaced all the vacuum and the air ones. But there were still some companies like this one right here that was still manufacturing the vacuum versions all the way up into the 90s. Now this one right here actually has a date on the sticker that's on the inside showing that this one was manufactured March 14th of 1988. Now while I was taking everything apart so I could get everything painted, I kind of contemplated masking off the stop sign on the front so I could repaint the red to make it look really good again. But I kind of want to keep the originality of the stop sign and kind of show its age by, with the sign being faded because it was subject to the sun and the elements and stuff like that. Plus, it kind of gives it character and it makes it unique.
Okay, so I pretty much got everything all painted, put back together. I still got this last little cover that I got to put on. I'll put that on at the very end. I screwed it to my workbench so this way I can have my wires hang out the bottom, have the hose hang out the bottom so I ain't got to worry about it. And so I can open and close it, do my thing with it, especially when I start operating with the vacuum. I want it to be able to swing and not have no problems and stuff like that. So I screwed it to the bench. Now, how I plan to make the lights themselves work is I actually have this right here. Now, what this is this is a fully mechanical flasher that I didn't even realize I had. I've had this thing over 20 years. I've actually had this longer than I've had the sign itself. What it was is I got a hold of a school bus a long time ago that I was using for storage. And when I got a hold of a semi-trailer, I scrapped out the school bus. But before scrapping it out, I took some stuff out of it. One of them was the box that had all the toggle switches, the control, and all that kind of stuff on it. And I just had it sitting on a shelf. Well, when I decided I wanted to work on this thing, I was just kind of curious. Wanted there was a flasher inside that box that controlled everything. And at first, I didn't realize this was a flasher until I was reading the actual label on the side here. And on it actually says motor flasher. So I was curious. So I went ahead and pulled it up, brought it in the shop, opened it up, and sure enough, this is a fully mechanical flasher that actually has a little worm gear in there, two little points that move up and down that make the lights do like the bouncing ball kind of flash and stuff like that. So I had no clue I had this thing. This thing's really cool. I really don't know how old it is because the label on the side here is gone. All I do know is from what I can somewhat read on the top here, it says Aero something device company, model A846. So I'm going to Google, see if I can figure out exactly how old this thing is, and I'll tell you guys at the end of the video. Well, my game plan with this is I'm going to put it right here. The reason I want to put it right there is because I want to be able to see it, and I also want to make sure that it doesn't actually interfere with the sign doing its thing. All the wires will be tucked into the back and all that kind of stuff. So this way it's all kind of visible and all that kind of stuff. Once I got it all hooked up in the whole 9 yards, I'll pull this cover off and I'll actually, fire it up and actually show you guys what this thing looks like on the internals, how it spins and how the little points are doing their things and stuff like that. So you guys can check that out when I get it everything all kind of hooked up. So let's go ahead and get that all hooked up and then we'll get this thing fired up.
So with doing my Google search to see if I can figure out what year this flasher is based on that number that's on the top of it, it says that there's no real specific year that they can state that these were manufactured, but they were manufactured between the 1940s to the 1950s and remained in production for several years.
So the flasher's all mounted to it, all wired up. Kind of show you what it looks like, the internal. So you see here's your motor right here, and it goes up to the worm gear, to this gear right here. And on the back side of this gear is a cam. So what it is this right here is your main power, your main positive side. And then there's another copper piece that's a partial piece that's connected to this side that touches that one right there and that one right there. And those are the two that bounce up and down to transfer the power to the bulbs themselves. So let's go ahead and fire it up and show you what it looks like. There we are. Let's go ahead and get some vacuum on this thing, make this thing open up, do its thing. We'll get this thing finished up. All right, so I got it temporarily hooked up so I can show you guys this thing in action. Now, I don't have a way of pulling a vacuum at this moment in time. I got to get a hold of some kind of pump. So for the time being, I just have it hooked to my AC vacuum pump at the moment with a regulator so I can control the speed of it so it's not so violent as it opens and closes. So let's go ahead and fire it up and show you this thing in action. Okay, so I'm going to run it through its cycle with the lights on and with the lights off. So here we go.
Okay, so this is my specialty manufacturing company, school bus stop sign, manufactured in 1988 with a mechanical flasher running the lights that was manufactured somewhere between the 1940s to the 1950s. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.